when they are going for more of the traditional type of settings, it's still going to be dead even for these two teams.
So apparently it is gonna be a Galio mid Baron, Gragas, Vi still gonna be the jungler in the side of Action PH support. Jana and Riot's gonna be getting that Kaisa as their duo laner. Meantime, in here, we also
For early Sin to go for the kicks to set up a play.
And here we go. We'll see if that will happen. Execution will say the name of the game. Again, this is game 2 of the matchup between Action PH versus NEXPLAY Esports, which already having that 1-point lead already in the game. But for the meantime, yeah, we're gonna be taking it steady, slow and steady in this 1-minute game time.
Yeah, slow and steady indeed, because you have the Ezreal, you have the Kaisa, and they need items to actually scale out. Kaisa needs maybe the BF Sword to then go for maybe the BRK or Infinity Edge, and Ezreal for the side of NXP needs that Marimune actually gets that first item early on the matchup to scale out when it comes to damage, when it comes to poking out enemy teams. So absolutely, they're playing it very slowly. NXP maybe has a little bit of an advantage when it comes to the early matchup because they have the Braum with the concussive blow. So the passive that is actually quite important in the early game. That stunts is going to be crucial. But NXP though is actually setting a play, going for an aggressive play into the blue.
Yeah. And not only that, though, look at that. Like we mentioned a while ago, the Galio is going to be having a hard time up against the Quirky in the middle lane because, yes, there is that ability coming from that Galio that can definitely poke out the... Oh, wait, did they just... Okay, never mind. Yeah, going back into the mid matchup in here, definitely truly got the upper advantage, but we talk about the fight that is happening already, though in here, Abe's gonna get punished again with a Sonic Wave coming up from that Lee Sin, and them gonna be securing that first blood, and at the same time, a contest on both of the scuttlers on top side as well as in the bot. My goodness, what a good start so far for NEXPLAY Esports.
I like the ganks from these two teams, right? Vi was hovering into the bush, Galio was waiting as well, and Vi initiated that fight with a taunt to successively punish NEXPLAY Esports, but NXP gained the advantage because they are up with one member in that engagement. So Action PH wasn't really able to look forward to it, wherein NXP actually responded very quickly in that matchup. So NXP gaining that first blood.
Oh, they're not really giving a space for AIM to actually get the farm that he needs. And in here, Justice just playing Listen onto the proper. Oh, look at the Dragon's Rage connecting onto Aiko. Aiko not able to do anything. And at the same time, just leave AIM alone into the bush, dying onto the hands of the members of NEXPLAY Esports. And again, the waves in the middle lane. Galio's having a hard time going up against the Poke.
Time and time again.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Time and time again. I mean, NXP, with their champion pool, with a Corki, with a Lee Sin, with a Braum, they have a lot of escape routes. So this enables them to go maybe for an aggressive type of plays when it comes to the early game, right? And we've talked about how Braum and Lee Sin is actually strong as well when it comes to the early game. So this really is favorable rather for NXP in time for before the first objective actually comes up. So really good utilization of the power of the draft of NXP.
That is so true. And knowing that the dragon is about to come up again this time within 17 seconds, we can surely tell that NEXPLAY Esports is well prepared to actually contest that area on, because they're already shoving the minion waves into the bottom lane part of the map, maybe even ready to go for a pick up onto trying to get one more target. And in here, they're trying to go for another steal of the buff. And yeah, though on the top side, we can see that Darius has already fallen down onto the hands of the members of Action PH.
So 4-minute mark. It's not good with the Ocean Drake now alive in this matchup, but you know what? resets are now coming through. I think that is going to be very important. With a 4-minute mark available, NXP Corki is going to go back for that package. That package is going to be very important to actually go back away when it comes to a very dangerous position for Chule. So I like how Corki actually went back a bit, and no information for Action PH to gain the knowledge of where NXP might be as they go easily onto the Ocean Drake with no contest.
Yes, for sure. And in here, you can see Action PH just trying to go for a counter play. Yes, maybe they will be able to get this turret, but ooh, just right on time. Though, look at the ultimate coming from the Ezreal as well. And a defensive play coming out from the rest of the members of NEXPLAY Esports. Gonna go for that missile barrage though, but in here, Josh is trying to go come in. Sonic Wave is going to be connecting onto the Gragas, but I don't think they're going to be trying to go for a soft play right over there. Instead, going to go for that minion waves first, and the bottom lane part of the map though will be pushed as well. Going back to the top fight, Janna will fall down onto the end of that Corki, but then again, there will be some exchanges that will happen. Jolly in here will be able to save his life. Ooh, the flash came out, but the chase is still in here on point, as well as the Joshi back in. Oh, look at that! The Corki is not gonna be saving his life, unfortunately, with a Galio trying to find the perfect spot.
Absolutely. But I like how NXP, even though if Chule got killed in that fight, they were able to bait out the ultimate of Eiko. So I think that was at the very least, quite a trade-off for Action PH against NXP. But nevertheless, right now, it's going to be the Rift Herald available in the matchup. Another objective for these two teams, but I think Action PH needs this much more because the first objective was already favorable for NXP.
For sure, though, aim in here, trying to contest Rift Scuttler with his teammates, of course, with backup his teammates, but this is gonna be looking scary. I mean, the gold advantage is on the hands of NEXPLAY Esports, and looks like their chance just trying to find a perfect spot. I'm not so sure that this is a good idea, that they're actually in a corner of their jungler, and that wasn't really best spot. I feel like they should have just tried to go for a different objective, like trying to put more pressure on the bottom of the side part of the map, and yes, maybe even at the top side too. But for the meantime, they are in the brink of a situation wherein they could lose this outer turret in the middle lane. Oh, look at Joshi just trying to go for an entrance, just poking the hell out of members of Team Action PH, giving a lot of space for Ezreal to deal some massive amounts of damage onto the turrets, not to mention Koki as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Action PH was actually battling it out. A 3v5 type of situation against NXP. So it's actually quite hard, but they got the turret into the Baron lane. So at the very least, they got a 1-for-1 trade-off in favor of Action PH and NEXPLAY Esports. So smart move when it comes to getting those gold for their team. But still, NXP has the 4K gold lead in this matchup. And objectives are favorable for them. They got the mid lane turret, so this opens up the map. It's map control in their favor.
At this point in the game, we could ask ourselves, how can Action PH potentially come back? Actually, the goal isn't that massive as of the moment. It is just 4K gold lead in favor of NEXPLAY Esports. So this tells us that definitely Action PH can still do something about it. The question in here, though, is actually, when is the best time for Janna to actually go and make use of his ultimate? We're not seeing that being quite effective as of yet, because moments, the composition of NEXPLAY Esports isn't something that really okay, everyone's gonna go for it engaged, and that's not something that we usually would do. Maybe they could try to shove away when actually Joshi goes in, or maybe even Darius, but rarely we see that doesn't really happen without the support of the rest of the members of NEXPLAY Esports. So that's looking scary.
Mountain Drake is now going to be available though, and NXP still has to go lead in this matchup. Although they need to respect how Vi is able to just dash into the Dragon's Pit and get that still up and running for their team. And yet also has that value to set up a play with its ultimate available.
Oh, nice attempt though in trying to go for a steal. Unfortunately, that was quite early from the Gragas. For the meantime, Joshi is actually trying to flag from this side in here. Simon's not very safe as of the moment. Will probably just gonna go die onto the end of the Ezreal. And here, more pokes coming from Joshi as well. Gonna go for the stasis to help his life. In here, onto the side, we can see the Ezreal's also flanking. But will he still survive? And here, 4 members from the squad of Action PH, so all alive, just right on time. The Jace is still present for Joshi, however. So in terms of dealing more damage, they still can go for that confident play. We got the ultimate available. Gonna go for that true shot for Raj. And it's gonna connect onto the Kaisa, putting some more members from the side of Action PH go down.
Baron Nashor is going to be available. 3 seconds remaining. It's going to be 10 seconds for the death timers of Kaisa and that Gragas. And on top of all that, you also have no ults available for every single member of Action PH. So overall, this is not looking favorable for them as NXP looks to go for the Baron Nashor.
Go for this redemption to get the vision in the map, but again, I don't think it's best idea for AIM to try to go for a sacrifice. We did see the Winds of War connecting onto the Baron, but the damage is not enough. It was a lone Echo, it was a lone Galio, but hold up. Oh my goodness, Chile though will not survive that damage coming from the Gragas. Yeah, not gonna be surviving that one, but we still got a massive amount of buffs from the side of NEXPLAY Esports, capitalizing what they got from the Baron.
Now Action PH needs to think how could they defend this matchup, because you have the Baron Nashor and NEXPLAY Esports is pressuring it in all lanes. You have the Darius into the Dragon lane, Ezra Braum into the mid lane, and you have Lee Sin pressuring into the Baron lane as well. So I think Action PH is answering with a split as well from their team, but NEXPLAY Esports is to get the tier 2 turn in the mid lane.
I think this is the second time we did see a failed ultimate come from the Braum, but that's definitely okay. Usually they're making use of that to zone away the members of Action PH. Just, hey, just stop. I mean, this is all game already. It's like that. That's what they're saying. And seems like knowing NEXPLAY Esports, they will just capitalize on the lead. Again, we ask ourselves, how can Action PH potentially come back in this game?
I think there is still a chance if they get some pick-offs. They're looking for a mistake to happen for NEXPLAY Esports, right? It is something that could happen, and Action PH could utilize that mistake to gain that lead and punish NEXPLAY Esports. So I think that's gonna be the only thing that could bring them back. With a 10k gold deficit, it's not looking that good. So wipe out the next Baron Nashor are things that looks to be a thing or a source that could put them back into the game against NXP.
Well, in here, we can see that the pressure is just basically on from the side of NEXPLAY Esports. I mean, Chole is just trying to throw up all of his missile barrage. And so far, though, the problem in here from the side of Action PH, because they are at the deficit in terms of gold, even though this is a mid lane Galio, so far we cannot even feel the Winds of War damage from him. So now for the meantime, I think Action PH must just try to do their best in trying to save the inhibitor turrets, the 2 remaining inhibitor turrets for themselves, and maybe even, like you mentioned, Infinity, find a pick off, try to get the proper target. But who could that be? I mean, this is a very mobile champions that they got in their lineup: Just Cheese, Lee Sin, Uzis, Ezreal, and of course Trolley's Corki as well. So it's gonna be tough on who to decide who, but for the meantime, I'm gonna go for that Dragon Rage as well, then go for a flank. And in here, we see more team fights happening in here. We can see the aim is Riot as of the moment. Josh is super low. Gonna go for the CCs. He still got the GA, but the rest of the gang on the side of NEXPLAY Esports gonna go for more poke damage. And here, I'm pretty sure that with Ezreal joining the gang as of the moment, more damage can be pulled off. Gonna be dashing in there, but to no afford, and not gonna get more targets, but instead gonna get some placement onto maybe putting more pressure onto the top side and getting the position onto the next dragon available.
Absolutely, but NEXPLAY Esports is actually getting ahead of the curve and getting the Cloud Break in their favor. I think this actually gives them enough ability to go for the response. It's actually synonymous with their draft as well. Having that Ezra and having the Lee Sin, and even Corki in this draft, that Cloud Drake is going to exponentially grow the reactive play, the quick responses, and the type of play that they could do. But Ezreal is going to be picked off with the Stasis Antra.
And in here, though, Uzi gonna be in danger as of the moment. Gonna go down finally onto the hands of the Defy, and more members from the side of Next Play Esports actually getting deleted in the map. And again, do take note that there is an objective available anytime. Action PH can actually go for a start on this Baron Nashor, but do note as well that the mid lane as well as the bottom lane has given a lot of pressure from the side of Next Play. I'm not too sure if there's gonna be an attempt for this Rob to actually go for a steal. I think this is gonna go to Action PH for sure.
And yeah, this is something that we've talked about. Kaisaya, you've asked a while ago what is going to be the comeback potential of Action PH. We've said pickoffs, Baron Nashor is going to be the key for Action PH. And they've got these steps, they've got these objectives, and now the next step would be is to pressure in lanes. If they can do that, they could bring the game down once again into an even matchup against NXP, especially that mid lane. That mid lane looks scary. 3/3 still going to be available for NXP. If they could punish that, bring it down to 1, that's going to put them in a favorable spot.
Uh-oh, in here, Ryzen. Okay, definitely Ryzen's not a good target, so they're not going to be committing onto that, but instead they will have to manage the minion waves first. But in here, this is going to be crucial because the next dragon that we're going to be talking about is an Elder one. So, whoever gets deleted in the map first is going to be putting a pressure for his teammates. So you better be careful in here, whichever members of the teammates do not get picked off, because again, the next dragon is going to be crucial. That's going to give your teammates, of course, some bits of true damage as well, and going to help you a lot in sustaining and dealing more damage in terms of team fight. But nice pressure on the top side as well. They're still just managing all those.
So Action PH still has Baron Nashor actually pressuring into the mid lane. I like how Ezreal actually went there for True Shock Barrage.
And here we go. You can see Disaster super low, flanking on the side, gonna go for that Sonic Wave. It connected onto someone, but definitely you don't want to go in and just, you know, give yourself to Action PH. So again, that was some Baron Nashor buff from the side of Action PH, still present though, but so far they weren't able to push or get a turret out of that Baron. So quite a bit of a waste, but not really, sorry. But instead, at least they did not give it to Next Play Esports. So there's still some breather for Action PH to actually get this game onto their side.
I think Action PH still has it because their draft is actually hovering in the back late game fight. Right, you have the Gragas, you have the Vi, you have the Galio. If Galio just puts up a very, very good ultimate against NXP, that's gonna jumble up the draft of Next Play Esports. The Braum, the Darius, the Ezreal. The Ezreal more specifically wouldn't be able to just dash away when it comes to the knock-up of that Galio. So I think that's gonna be very crucial for Action PH. One very good ultimate is potentially going to change the curve of the game in favor of Action PH if it could happen.
Yes, and now in here we can see a Ryzen trying to put a lot of pressure onto the top side, as of course they will try to force one member of Action PH to also be separate away from the rest of the gang of Action PH. But the vision in here is quite nice for Next Play Esports as well. You can see how deep their wards in here are behind the walls of the next Elder Infernal Drake. I'm talking about the Elder Drake again. This is Infernal, so whoever gets is not just true damage we're talking about, but an additional damage as well.
Absolutely. Infernal Drake is a very good scaling type of buff for your team, and considering we're late in this game with the 18-minute mark, actually quite crucial for these two teams. And Action PH requires to get this for Kaisa, for the Vi, for the Galio to actually increase their potential in terms of damage output. But NXP actually looking for another objective, getting the Baron Nashor. Action PH hovered in too much into the Elder Dragon, so NXP thought, you know what, let's go for another thing. Well, Action PH is waiting for us to initiate.
Oh, look at that. In here, I don't think that Lizzie is gonna join the team fight that has been happening in there. But we can see some teleports happening onto the base right now of Action PA. Some of the members of NEXPLAY eSports still all back alive. We want to see the base! We want to see what's happening in the base! Should have given a highlight onto Joshi, but then again, in a minute,